Hello, sisters. Welcome. I see my hair is on earth. Welcome. This is Jonita D'souza, your feminine lifestylist. Welcome to this mini feminine wisdom bite that I was inspired to share with you as part of this January visioning month, as part of this January space of the void, the dreaming month. So I want to show up for the next few days and inspire you in your feminines that you can have a different perspective, a new approach about your desires, your vision for this year, goal setting, and all of that. So I am excited to share more about the topic of desires and embodiment. January is the gestating month, and I am loving giving myself um, the time to simply be, contemplate, be led by what my feminine truly wants rather than jumping on to the New Year resolutions, goal settings, etc. So I know many of you have been also sharing with me that you have been feeling lethargic in the body and not feeling quite ready to jump into the new year and begin everything anew. So that's fair enough. This is the reason we've been doing the 9 days of sacred declarations inside the Exploring Femininity group. And today we have completed the 9 days. Congratulations to each and every sister who have been participating for listening, acknowledging, and declaring. One of the things I want to say, if you haven't taken part in the 9 days of sacred declarations, which is happening inside the Exploring Femininity Sisterhood group, then please hop in there, go into the unit, and you can find those 9 sacred declarations and give yourself this time. It is important. You will see how through the rest of the year how this will unfold. This is all very magical and mystical, and I love that aspect. And one of the things I very strongly advise is to write down these sacred declarations in your journal because this will lead to you creating a bigger vision for this year. So, yes, this will assist you in connecting with your desires and vision for this year. And if you're watching, please let me know if you're watching and if you can hear me. And it's all good to go. I hope I'm not speaking just to myself. However, I trust and I will continue to speak. So, I was guided a couple of days ago to offer a few bite sized feminine wisdom bites. So, for today, for the next 5 days, I'll be showing up live here on YouTube and sharing some aspects of our desires, of receiving, fears, releasing, and all of that, goal setting, all of that, which is quite present for this month. So I'm curious if you're watching now or if you will be watching the replay. Share with me how you're feeling, what's happening, and also share with me if this is something that you are interested to know more. I have been talking about the feminine way of transitioning into the new year and considering this January month as this space of void, this period of gestation, because our body exactly is showing us signs. So we must acknowledge. And I must say that this gestation period has helped me a lot, helped me to learn myself about a lot. It has helped me to learn my habits, my decision making patterns. It has helped me to understand various aspects of my value and what I consider to be important in my life or not, my decision making process, most importantly, as I said. And also, it has helped me to understand my feminine, understand my body, and understand that listening to my body in the long run serves me for my highest good. So whatever you're feeling right now, hey Uma, lovely to see you here. So nice. Thank you for the rose. I planted a rose um, sapling, you say sapling today. Yeah, so let's begin. I want to talk about truth and truth about desires, some conflicts and confusion. And my intention through these small wisdom bite sessions is to invoke your own feminine inspiration. So some of the things you might have heard before, and that's fine. And some of the things you might be reminded of to embody more, to integrate more. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is because, first of all, I want to serve, I want to provide value, I want to hold space, but also, very importantly, in doing so, I am reminding all of these things to myself. So for me, it's a win-win, and I love interacting with you. So let's begin with putting this out. We women, we busy women of the modern day society are overcommitted and under satisfied. Now, think about these two phrases. We busy women are overcommitted and under satisfied. Let me know if this feels true in your body, because it definitely feels true to me in my body, and it has been like that for a long time. And I know so many of us feel this. I have worked with thousands of women, and I understand, what I have understood is that this state of being overcommitted and undersatisfied has costed us a lot over the years, in fact over the centuries, I must say. It has costed us our deep sense of knowing of ourselves. It has costed us to remember who we truly are, what we truly desire, how do we truly desire to feel, and how does fulfillment feel for us in our own lives. Instead, what we have become is kind of a replica of societal obligations to follow, boxes to tick in order to be seen as fulfilled or perceived as fulfilled and successful. And I'm saying all of this because I have experienced all of this, and it's very common with the women that I work with that we always start from this base level of being overcommitted in life and undersatisfied. So, this condition of being overcommitted and undersatisfied has led us to forget what truly makes us happy. And sadly, we have normalized it in many ways. Sadly, we have kind of uh, agreed, consciously or unconsciously, that that's the way life is, get on with it. And the truth about desires is that here is where we have become confused about our own desires, because we get confused about we consider societal obligations as our desires. We get confused by people around us, and many times our desires are influenced by the people around us. And oftentimes, also as a protection mechanism, we often begin to then ignore our true desires, because when we are in an internal conflict with what we truly want and what people around us are telling us, oftentimes by default, we go into the ignorance of the situation. Yeah, sometimes we think, okay, yeah, this is how life is. Let's get over with. Let's move on. Let's continue making the money to pay the bills and all of those things. So the reason I'm saying these things, and I feel like I I remember when I was sharing about this to another sister, and she said that, oh my God, this is so harsh, but that's the reality. because I have experienced it. And tell me if you have experienced this, because this it breaks my heart to live or to see women living half-lived life. There is a beautiful quote by Rumi that is coming up for me. Something like, it says something like, you breathe halfly and call it living a life, something like that. So in other words, it's like, we're not even breathing properly, we don't even know how to breathe properly, and we call ourselves alive. So that's what I feel when i when I have lived like that. That's what I have felt. I have lived the first half of my adult life that way, and that's why it breaks my heart. I know that it doesn't have to be this way. So what happens is that when we experience certain conflicts from the outside world and the internal world, we then stop to even dare to desire. And what I have noticed is that this ignorance state is not always because of the external influence, but mostly because of the internal influence, internal conflict. And what I've noticed, I've broken down into like three main areas in my work with my private clients and having conversations with several thousands of women. What I've noticed is three particular types of internal conflicts that we have. And I want to share that with you so that we can really become um, true and honest with ourselves in this month of gestation or completion or contemplation, whatever you want to call it. And let me know, please, if this is resonating with you, because it's useful to know where we are standing. And it's also useful to share our experiences, because women grow with each other when we come together in sharing our stories. We are tribal people in nature. So one of the first type of internal conflict that mostly women have is because of the failure of the past. When we have failed in the past, um, we we still remember that pain from the past, and oftentimes that stops us to dare to desire the next time. And tune in and see if anything of such is present for you. Because this is human behavior. In a given day, if 10 good things happen to you and one negative thing, our human brain focuses on the negative and creates a negative connotation for the entire day. So this is pretty normal human behavior. It's been tested and researched time and time over again. So it is really common for us to fear to even dare to desire because of our failures in the past. And if you're feeling like this, if there have been times where you really thought that you had this desire and you gave your best and it didn't happen, and then you felt like, oh my God, I am burnt out chasing that desire and I don't want to have that anymore. So what we do is we then begin to ignore that desire rather than creating our lifestyle, our environment around that desire, so that it makes it easy for us to create that desire. You see how crazy our minds are. So that's one of the conflicts. The second conflict that I noticed is that, again, especially for us women, that we are scared that our desire may be too much. This often comes from a place of feeling not enough inside of ourselves for who we are and what we do and what we give or what we represent in this world. And oftentimes, we may have these deep longings and we may begin to ignore these desires, thinking, who am I? Who am I to dare so big? Who am I to dare to desire something that is so unconventional that I will have to explain to so many people, etc. So, so that's one of the second types of internal conflict that we women face, and when we are ignoring our desires. Hi, Belle, lovely to see you here. So let me know if any of this resonates with you, or if you've caught yourself. And honestly, to be honest, all of these three types of internal conflicts are quite real and quite present for most of us, I would say. The way we deal with it is what defines us and our beingness. So there is no right or wrong if you feel like, oh my God, yes, I have these three internal conflicts and I'm doomed and I'm done. It's not like that. So the first internal conflict I shared is the fear of failure from the past, a pain from the past. That you gave it all your heart and it didn't happen. So you just shoved that desire under the rug instead of creating different perspective to approach that desire. So the second conflict is when we think of our desires to be too much. Who am I to desire so big? And I feel these on a regular basis. The reason I'm able to share this and put it across and hold space for women in these deeper levels is because I face all of these on a regular basis and I work through them. And one of the very simple examples I can give from my recent times is the time when I was having a really good, fulfilling life in London, everything going well, and but my deep desire was to just travel with my husband and teach the work of the feminine, go to India, go to Asia, and do all of those things. So I did that last year, January 2020, and people were like, "Are you crazy? The world is, you know, going into chaos. There was Brexit going on, and there was quite a lot of instability in the UK, in London, where I was living at the time. But I knew that I had this deep desire since last 5 years, and I had to do that to feel alive, to know why I was called to do that. So, of course, there were times that I had to remind myself that my desires are my evolutionary path. They are not coming from my ego, and I can choose to desire big and something unconventional and something that is impossible. Yes, it may take time to manifest. It did take for me good 5 years, but it was a process of dealing with this conflict on a regular basis, this fear, regular basis. So let me know if any of this resonates with you. And the third conflict is, what if I achieve this desire somehow? Now you see, we are so crazy in our mind. Our we often sabotage ourselves from achieving our desires because it's scary for a lot of us women. We women like tribe. We women like community, and we women like to be among our loved ones, and oftentimes achieving our desires require us to walk the path alone. Yeah, requires us to bring change, requires us to disagree with our loved ones, requires us to change our habits, our lifestyle, our relationships, people we hang out with, requires us to step out of our comfort zone. So what do? We already create stories in our head about our desires that, oh my God, this desire is is scary. What if I achieve it? So it's going to turn my world upside down, or I will have to turn my world upside down. So I just better ignore it for now. So I'm really curious if these three conflicts, these are the three main conflicts. They are interconnected, and there are several others that will fall into similar of these three categories. So I'm really curious to know if any of this is true for you, if you resonate. And the state of ignorance, this condition of being overworked and undersatisfied, has left a big void inside of us. What we are doing in this state of ignorance is that we are suppressing the creative juice of our feminine. We then begin to settle for less. And this affects us women in the long run, especially our well being. Emotional suppression always results in physical illnesses sooner or later. That's the science. That's how the vibrational works behind it. So it took me years to become true to myself about these internal conflicts and accepting the fact that okay, I've been ignoring these aspects and I really want to become true to myself about what I truly want, what kind of life I want to live. I didn't want to have a corporate 9 to 5 job. I wanted to make impact. I didn't want to have kids right now. I want to travel and all of that. So these were very unconventional for a girl coming from a um, tiny place in India. And I had lived with the pain of settling for less for most of my life. And I know it is painful. Everything feels when you do this, everything feels heavy, upstream and meaningless. And of course there are moments of excitement and joy, but they don't last long. And what I've also noticed is that during those situations, we begin to blame people around us. We begin to blame circumstances around us. Oh, there's a pandemic, so I can't do this, and we can't do that. And so I'll just shove my desire for now. We continue to settle for less. And yes, it is okay for now, but not in the long run. And if you've read about that book, The Regrets of the Dying, one of the biggest regrets of the dying people is that they didn't do what they really wanted to do in their life. So these internal conflicts and ignoring our deep desires, they will only let you live a half-lived life. And if you are watching this, I know you're not meant for that. So I remember my mentor telling me an affirmation to read every day, because when this truth came alive for me, I was a mess. I was a mess. I cried for hours and days because I realized this. And firstly, I realized this. Secondly, I didn't know what to do with this realization. And she gave me this affirmation, which became then my daily prayer, that I will not settle for anything less than my soul's desires. I will not settle for anything less than my soul's desires. So I had the awareness, I didn't know what to do with it, but then this affirmation became my daily prayer. I didn't know what, how, when, why, but I used it as my daily prayer. And I have been shown the way to move forward in beautiful ways, in ways that required courage as well. So the reason I'm sharing all these things is that I want to inspire you to not settle for less. Do not settle for less. Especially you watching this right now, do not settle for less, please. We need you, the world needs your medicine. Utilize this beautiful month, this new lunar phase that we are entering, to really, dig into the depths of your feminine and ask, what is it that you truly desire? And there are certain processes I will be sharing with you as well, if you feel really confused with this awareness. But I want to inspire you to not settle for less, no matter whatever your desires are. Another, and I also want to talk about confusion. There is a big confusion between wishing something and desiring something. We often make this mistake and use these words interchangeably. And then we wonder why our desires do not come into fruition. You see, the word wishing and desiring are two different energetics. They have very different vibrations. Wish is something Wish is hoping for something that you probably think cannot or may not happen. For example, I wish I could go traveling. I wish I could do that. I wish I had this to eat for dinner. So it's kind of like the vibration is hoping for something that you probably think you cannot have or may not happen or cannot happen. Whereas desires are different. They are your soul's calling. Desires are your soul's evolutionary impulse. It comes from this deep rooted space in your body that you know that you really desire this. You know, wishes can come and go, but desires will remain with you until they are fulfilled and even after they are fulfilled, because desires are not about ticking boxes list of desires. They continue to be there with you because they make you alive. They keep your life force activated, because desires are given to you to create your purpose in life. When you wish about something, the energy behind it is usually lack or victim. But when you desire something, that makes you feel expansive. It's like there is an inner giggle to it. There is a beautiful innocence to it. So be careful in the words you choose. Think about if whatever you are thinking is your wish or your desire. And if that's your desire, then stop wishing for it. Yes? So hence, it becomes really important for us to create solid foundations to identify our desires, because they then act as compass to the life we are choosing on a daily basis. Yeah. So let me know if this is sitting with you. I'm not able to see the comments. Thank you for the heart, Uma. Thank you for the heart, Bell. Let me know if this is sitting with you. And if you have any questions, what I want to also share with you, maybe I'll share tomorrow or later. There is a specific process that I take myself through. It's called the sensual lifestyle visioning process. And I have been using this process over the last 5-7 years, creating and teaching this process. And authenticating our desires is a big part of that process. Um, in this process, we take one of our desires and we evaluate through a certain stage of awareness. We evaluate if this desire is really authentic, in our highest good, in congruence with who we are, in the highest good of all that is as well. So it's really important to have that foundation, and this process can be utilized for all the desires that we have time and time again, because first of all, it's important to realize if the desire is yours, and if not, then why are you bothering even? Yeah. So I will be sharing different aspects of the sensual lifestyle visioning process throughout these 5 days, so that I can inspire you to look into this way of visioning for the month of January. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. Sensuality. Yeah. Thank you for this question. I had received earlier. Sensual lifestyle visioning, why do I say sensual? We are talking about feminine wisdom bites. Sensuality is a fine dance between your masculine and your feminine energies. It's not about balancing these two energies within you, but it's about fine tuning. There are times where you are in your masculine more, there are times when you are in your feminine more, and it's about tuning these two energies. And that's when you fully integrate the life force energy, your aliveness, and that is sensuality. The gift of sensuality comes very easily and naturally to women. But what we have learned is to use it only in sexual ways and to use it only for others. But when we begin to use this gift for ourselves on a regular basis and through various embodiment practices of the feminine as well as the masculine, depending on which phases of the cycle that you are in, we can continue to nurture our desires and receive universal support as well as courage to take inspired action on a regular basis. Because your capacity to open up to your desires actually reflects how you are expressing yourself in this world. Yeah. So your desires are sacred. 2020 has already shown us the value of our lives. An average person lives for 70 years. There are some statistics that correlates to 840 months. For me personally, I've lived half of that, over half of that statistical number. I don't know about you, where you are, according to that number, but the question is, how long do we want to continue to settle for less, denying our deep desires? Yeah, my intention is to make my life worthwhile. And for us women, our body is the gateway to our feelings, to our wisdom, to our pleasure. And visioning from this place lasts long. So, whatever you are feeling right now in your body, whatever awareness is coming up, take time to notice, acknowledge, journal. It's not time to react in response to it, but to nurture what is coming up. And that's what I wanted to share with you today as part of today's Wisdom Bite. I said it'll be 20 minutes, but it is 33 minutes past. If you have any questions, please feel free to post here or PM me or email me. I will be happy to guide you, coach you around, and I'll be sharing more about the sensual lifestyle visioning process. If you are interested in that, please let me know as well. I'll be sharing more about the different stages of that and how we can utilize it to come to a completion for the last year, how we can utilize it to create our sensual vision for this year, and also how we can integrate daily practices, embodiment practices in our rituals, everyday life, so that we continue to grow in our desires and receive them as well in ways that are fun too. I'm, I'm missing out on the main point, fun. Yeah. So that's it, sisters. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing space with me. I hope that I was able to inspire your feminine in at least a little bit of it. Bye now.